Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
AB Supply, this is Terry.
Can you do a tech talk right now? Okay. Do you have a topic?
Well, I do want to put some gasketing on my front door, like an S88 or something.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so we can...
probably a door shoe.
We can,
but like
okay.
those ones you can't see from the exterior, it's like only mounted on the interior side. You know what I'm talking about?
All right, so you've got a condo entry door, and what do you want to do to it?
I want to put weather stripping to block air and sound from going out.
Great. So there is air infiltration rated material, there is acoustical energy rated material, and it really boils down to how much money y'all want to spend. You get a lot of bang for your buck by putting anything on a door and frame assembly that has nothing right now. If you've got nothing, it's going to leak. It's going to leak air, thermal energy, acoustical energy. And most people just want to do something and not get down the road of actual STC rated equipment. Gasketing that is tested to retard the transmission of acoustical energy, which you get into the hundreds of dollars really quick. Just gasketing alone could be several $100s, just the jams in the header. So what were you thinking in that regard? Obviously, probably wanting to keep it simple rather than go hog wild. What did you already have in mind?
Probably just doing an adhesive back.
Okay.
Either thin gasketing or bulk gasketing.
Okay, so you could do a lot of damage, so to speak. You could do a lot of good by simply adding something like the Pemco S88 or any other teardrop, the 5050 by National Guard, the 797 by Reese, the Dorbin D116, on and on and on. Adding that material would be inexpensive in terms of material cost, and it's relatively easy to install. So let's just assume that you're going to put that on the jams and the header. What would you do at the bottom of the door?
I did want a door shoe of some sort.
Okay, a door shoe would require knowing the clearance dimension, the dimension from the underside of the door to the top of the sill, to make sure that you could fit your door shoe into that space. You would have to know that. So you have to determine that, whether or not you have the amount of room. Have you already measured that?
I have not.
Okay.
If I had to guess, it might be
a quarter inch, maybe less.
All right, so there's lots of things that can be done. If you don't have the room for a door shoe, what you could do is install an automatic door bottom. I assume that the door swings in this condo building application. So you could easily put an automatic door bottom on the bottom of the door on the push side or the hallway side, which is nice because that's where your line of defense is. The problem with it is you'd have to probably get clearance from the condo association that you can actually install that. They might have some policy regarding that. So let's assume that they're okay with it. So yeah, if you were to look at a Pemco S88 in any color, whatever the roll length that you need, and then you take a look at the installation instructions, well, what you'll want to do first is probably look at the product brochure, because an S88 actually is a quarter inch when it's not compressed. It will compress down to 1/16 of an inch. Now, it's possible that your gap is that tight. I personally wouldn't try to squeeze that down so hard because you're really going to stress the adhesive that holds that onto the jam. So in my opinion, if you had a typical gap of like 3/32 or as much of as an eighth of an inch between the door and the jam, you're in really great shape. 3/32 is 1.5 times the size of 1/16 of an inch. It'd be like 0.096. 1/16 is 0.06 basically. So it'd have to be heavy on a 16th, approaching 1/8. So if it's clearly more than a 16th and up to about an eighth or even 3/16, the SE88 is going to fit. So once you've confirmed that gap, then what you'd want to do is take a look at the installation instructions for it. And this is the part where it can be a total success or an absolute failure. When you look at the installation instructions, it tells you where it wants you to install the material on the jamb when it comes to the hinge jamb and the header and on the strike jamb. In all of these instances, you'll always mount it on what's called the rabbet of the frame. When you look at the instructions, you'll see that where the adhesive is, it's on the rabbet. Now, I had said earlier, the success or the failure is going to come in the installation instruction part, meaning you don't run it in a continuous length. You're going to measure and pre-cut the pieces. Very crucial. Before you go about trying to install any of this material, it is exceptionally important that the jamb be completely clean and free of any dust, debris, oil, anything that will impede the adhesive's ability to stick. You're going to want to go so far as to probably scuff up the jamb with some high count steel wool, and you really need to read the installation instructions for this. The frame, you must thoroughly clean the frame. Pemco actually includes a cleansing towelette to remove grease, dust, or cleanser buildup before installation. There's like a wet nap actually in there that you'll need to use. You want to thoroughly mechanically clean the jamb first, and then at the end use that wet nap that's included. You'll want to make sure that that's completely dry. They do state that you can use isopropyl rubbing alcohol. They also state mineral spirits or anything like that are petroleum based are to not be used. The jamb has to be at room temperature. 70, 75 degrees, whatever room temperature is, as long as it's not below 50 or above 100. The paint, if it's a new installation, the paint has to be thoroughly cured. I know that your installation's not new, so the paint's thoroughly cured. What I have learned personally is that when you apply it onto the rabbet of the frame, it's really tricky to do it well the first time because you'll get a wavy action when applying the S88 on the jamb. Not the end of the world, but you want to pull it taut to the point where it's straight, but don't stretch it, because that is guaranteed going to break the bond of the adhesive, because that elastic material, it's reasonably elastic, it will want to resume its natural length, and it's going to break the adhesive and fail. So you want to pull it taut, but don't stretch it, because what you're going to do is hold the corner up in the jamb, and you're going to peel some of the paper away, and you're going to apply it that way, but without stretching it. You need to use very firm, perpendicular pressure when applying. They say use a wallpaper seam roller to reinforce adhesion after applying. I've never used that, and I'm tempted to not use any sort of roller for the idea that I'm going to reposition the material. Just insane amounts of pressure for as long as you can do it. 3 minutes. Have someone else with you, and you're each doing one half of the jamb. Push. Lots of pressure. And you're going to absolutely not want to touch this for overnight. So you're going to put it on, you're going to go away or go in, and try not to open the door. If any of that's not followed, you can count, especially if the frame is dusty, you can count on it failing. It's going to fail. So if you follow those steps, clean frame, don't stretch it, and lots of pressure, it's going to work. And I know that it's the case because I've done it, and plus I know that it's the case because in hotels, S88s are everywhere. Every hotel you go in, it may have S88 on it. So I think it's a great option, and it's better than nothing. And they also make a ligature-resistant version of this where it has micro slices in it every so many inches so that someone can't use it to harm themselves. So you'll want a full read of the installation instructions, and this talk won't be a full read of it. But my approach is fully read the installation instructions. Then when I've got I order my materials. When I've got it all, I then go back to the instructions and say, okay, what's step one? And you break the steps up to the point where that you can make forward progress without leaving the paper pulled off the back of the gasketing and exposing it to the particulate in the air, and you never want to actually touch the adhesive. In fact, the installation instructions literally show someone's hand touching the adhesive. You don't want that. That's going to keep it from sticking well. Now, in terms of the door bottom, you could do, and this material is available in different finishes, so you want to be sure that you're going to have something that's nice, complementary to your finish. I believe you might have bronze, so in that case you can't get bronze short of it being solid bronze. You'd probably just order dark bronze. That should be nice. Now, Pemco has their 217 door shoe. The problem with that is it requires a half-inch gap. If you've only got a quarter, I think you probably need to look at an automatic door bottom if it's appropriate. I do like the PDB 411S. Let's just look at that, because that is surface mounted and it's acoustically rated, and it's really easy to install. It's easy to trim, and when you look at the extended description of that item, there's extensive published data on how to trim it to length. And when you order that, you're going to measure the distance between the stops when the door is closed on the ingress side, on the push side, and you'll deduct about 1/8 of an inch. That's going to be your net size. So what I like about the Parker door bottom is that right out of the box it's STC 46. That's really high. That's a really high STC rating for gasketing without spending a fortune. It achieves that by a combination of 2 synthetic rubber seals separated by a piece of aluminum. Those disparate materials really break up the transmission of sound. That's just how it works. A very low closing force, so a door closer on the door is still going to allow the seal to drop against the sill. And what's nice about this is you don't care if it's a 1/4 inch gap. In fact, you want the tightest gap possible, as long as it's basically not more than a 1/2 inch, because then the bottom doesn't drop down far enough in order to handle that. They also make a mortised version. I don't recommend a mortised version because a condo hallway is going to be fire doors, and you're not permitted to modify a fire door for this type of hardware. There's one other thing that I would recommend in this installation, and that would be a simple dust pad that you would install. And if you search for dust pad, it's just self-adhesive pile, and it's going to go down on the rabbet of the jamb where you'll have some inherent leakage where your automatic door bottom doesn't do a good job at sealing. So you'll want to add those. And I think those 3 components will noticeably improve the deadening or the transmission or retarding the transmission of sound through the opening. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that idea. I do like the S88. It seems something for me personally that would be easy to install, and I'll have to confirm the gap from the bottom of the door to the top sill.
That's called clearance. That's different than undercut. That's called clearance. That's the magic word for what you need to measure.
Yeah, and once I get the clearance, I can determine if I should get an automatic door bottom or something else.
Yeah, you can certainly do them a lot cheaper because those STC rated bottoms are over $100. The other option is to just change the clearance dimension to something that will work, but then you've got to pull the door down and you've got to cut it or sand it. And that's just really impractical, especially for one person to do. It would be cheaper just to buy an automatic, and you can find less expensive automatic door bottoms. For instance, the SA3 from Pemco is an automatic door bottom, economy grade. SA3 and a 36-inch is a lot less expensive, still really expensive, but will still give you a seal at the bottom of the door. That's what you want. Now, the one downside of automatic door bottoms is they're not silent. So people want to put those on bedroom doors and homes. I say that's fun, but know this, at 2 in the morning, when someone opens or closes that door, someone's going to hear something, because they actually do make a sound. The Parker door bottom, though, giving credit to where credit is due, is absolutely on the more quiet side compared to others.
Perfect. I understand.
Awesome. Okay, then let me know if you have any other questions.
Will do. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.